are 5 ways to use Jamboard in your classroom, but we're going to share some many more ways. We're going to give you an opportunity to explore Jamboard and ask questions, but also share some tips and tricks. So hopefully this will be good for everyone, regardless of where you are in the Jamboard continuum. And we're the digital learning team, and I think all 4 of us are here in this session. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Claire if you want to just say hey real quick.
Hi everyone, I'm Clara Alanis. We're all old friends. It's wonderful to see you. Thanks for coming to Jamboard today. And I'll turn it over to you, Fern.
Hey everyone, I'm Fern Johnson here. Cannot wait for you guys to hear everything that Lily has prepared for you guys about Jamboard, and hope you guys have fun and welcome. Sit back and relax and enjoy the teaching stylings of Lily Ginsby. Go ahead, Leah.
Right here, you can come. Oh.
Hi, everybody.
She's just in the background, but she's coming on board soon. Okay. Norms. We've done enough trainings where we know that where the norms are. There are some things that are kind of think outside the box in Jamboard. Sorry. And so just hopefully you'll be adventurous and try out some new things today. We would love to see your face. But if you have no choice but see our face, but if you are able to, we would love for you to turn on your video just so that we can kind of get reactions and, you know, see everybody. We're just up here on the 3rd floor all by our lonesome. So we would love to see everybody's smiling face. Again, we're trying to design our sessions this summer and in the fall, really tying it closely to the collaborative framework and some of our PISD sort of ways. And today's session really kind of hones in on this teaching and learning cycle. So I want you to be considering how we're designing the learning to analyze, respond, and implement some differentiated activities for students. I really love this quote because you're looking at the learning outcomes and the evidence, and Jamboard really lends itself to that. And so also as we're designing, we really want to kind of stress that our tools are sort of the last thing. We want to start with our purpose and then end with our tools rather than vice versa. We don't want to start with the cool tool and then see if we can fit it in. We really want to make sure that it's tightly tied and is going to accomplish that purpose that you have. So what would a purpose be? Maybe engaging focus, collaborating, synthesizing, building community, or sharing, and then figuring out a strategy, and then finding the tool that perfectly matches it. So if your example, building community, and you want a check-in activity, then maybe Jamboard is the right tool for that strategy and that purpose. So that's kind of our workflow in thinking and our mindset as we go forward. And then thinking about Jamboard and our instructional model, honestly, as I look through the different elements of the instruction as well as the learning environment, it hits so many things. And as we move through the activities, I'd love for you to kind of refer back and think, you know, does this help process content? Is this something that really helps, is an element for practicing and deepening those lessons? Is it an engagement piece that I'm really being able to address? So love, love, love the instructional model. Okay, so how many of us have felt like this gal right here? That could be me a lot of weeks this year. So sometimes it is a long year this week. So what we want to do is maybe just do a quick little check-in. And if you click on this link, you're going to see a view-only copy. And I'm going to demonstrate from this, but you can absolutely make your own copy. We're because we have so many friends here, and for the sake of time, I'm gonna talk through our Jamboards, and then you have a copy for yourself. So we're not gonna actually annotate on this, but in the chat, if you would, just kind of share, since we're jamming, kind of share, where are you in the Jamboard journey? Are you a little bit of experience? You're just kind of nodding your head a little bit to the music. Do you kind of have a basic knowledge? Are you here to learn new stuff? Look at those gals. Or have you been jamming a while and you're here to hone some skills? That is definitely, my body does not do half of those things. So if you'll just pop it in the chat, that would be awesome. Okay, looking at some. All right, all right. Yay, Luz, I want you to jump in when you can if you've got some cool tips and tricks. So got some 3s, got a little bit more 2s and 1s. Okay, so that's going to help us with our sort of lesson design and the pacing that we'll go through. And I did, didn't I? I did share my screen. Okay, so checking in. Let's look at today's objectives. We're gonna kind of go through the basics. So if you are new, we've got some things to kind of give you a baseline and share some of the features of Jamboard. And then I want to share just sort of 5 little ways that you can use Jamboard. Maybe you've used 1 or 2 of these. Hopefully you'll take home with you 1 or 2 new ideas or ways that you can sort of tweak Jamboard to fit different activities. And then we'll have some time to explore and play and ask questions and dig into the tool, and then also like try out something. So if you saw an idea that piqued your interest and you noticed an immediate connection, we're going to give you some time to really maybe develop an example or a lesson that you could take with you. So we'll get to explore, and then we'll also make sure that you have resources. I'll share all the resources that I use to develop this training, and then some people to follow and hitting the hot spots. So let's move into it. All right, some Jamboard basics. So I'm so happy for people who, like, I can see some smiles and some faces, so I can tell if, people are like, wait, what? And that really helps me out. So thanks for the turning on your cameras. So why Jamboard? It's part of the Google Suite. It's been available to us this year, so it's kind of a new thing this year, this last school year. You can interact with content, you can annotate. It's a great place to collaborate and have groups, small groups, whole group, and individual activities. And you can have up to 20 frames in a jam, and you have unlimited jams. So it's just a great tool to keep in your tool belt. And the other bonus is that Jamboard is available. So if you have students that, have their phone on them, a lot of times that jam is available to them, and you as the teacher on your iOS device, on your Android device, on a Chromebook, on a desktop, laptop, anything digital, the students are able to access. And there are 2 different kinds ways that Jamboard's being accessed. You can have the web version, but also an app version. So we'll talk about that in just a second. All right. So I like the moves on this guy. How do I get to Jamboard? Well, there are many roads to Jamboard, so I'm just going to share a couple. You could go right to that web site, jamboard.google.com. Like any of our Google tools, you start with the tool name .google.com, and then I'm going to open up a tab, and usually on your new tab you see a waffle up at the top right corner, and feel free to check it out as we're going through. You can just watch, or you can do follow along and do the steps as well. So Jamboard is right here. And little pro tip and cool trick that we learned just recently is that these tools are movable. So you can actually rearrange your tools so that you use the ones that you use the most can be up at the top. So I can move my icon so that my most frequent users are right up here, and then all the tools that I don't use as much are down here. So I put Jamboard up at the top. Another place that you can get to it is in your drive. And so if I clicked on this new, I can, oops, there we go. If you click on the more, it gives you all of the different tools that Google has, and Google Jamboard is one of them. So right down here, Google Jamboard, and you can click it to open it up there. So that's two ways. You can quick start. So that's another great way. If you're just need a Jamboard on the fly, I can type in jam.new and I get a blank screen right there. So how easy is that for when if you're in a Google Meet or a Zoom meeting, you can just pop one up right there and use it as a quick whiteboard. And then finally, that's it. Okay, so then sharing a jams also work like many of our other Google tools. So you can assign it in a Google Classroom. You can adjust the share settings, and you want to make sure that you're mindful of that as you're sharing, because that can determine whether or not all students work on one jam collaboratively, or if each student has an individual jam, a copy of them for themselves. You can also force a copy. So for example, if this is the jam that I want to give to my students, and maybe I'm not using Google Classroom, or if I need to pop it in the chat for them, but I don't want them to have my copy, I can come up to this address bar and remove everything until I get to that last slash, and then type in copy. When I do that, I'm going to copy this and then open it up in a new window. When I do that, it forces the copy. And so no student can touch your original. So you know how sometimes they're in your business and you're like, wait just a second here, what happened? So you want to make sure that you offer a copy, and then that will be saved into their Google Drive. All right. So forcing a copy. All right, so if we're new, and maybe if we haven't maximized our usage of all the Jamboard features, this is just sort of the anatomy of Jamboard. And this screen, the first 8 are all the tools right here on the left side. So you can see if you clicked on the draw tool, you have pen marker options, and then you have colors. So I'm not going to go through each one here. I'd rather just open it up in Jamboard so you can see. I have pen, and I have a variety of different sort of strokes, types of pens, and then I have some color options here. The eraser tool allows me to erase any mistakes that I make. This is the select tool. So when I use the select, I can resize the item, manipulate it in some way, resize, edit, add text, delete, that kind of thing. This is, I think, the most popular. So students love to add their little sticky notes. So it could be a parking lot or a brainstorm activity that they just add sticky notes, a check-in. You have a variety of colors, and you also have no color. So that's nice as well if you need some uniformity. Image, this is a great feature because you have all of these options up at the top. So I can select a file and upload right here in an image right here in my jam without leaving it. And my favorite is having this Google image search. So I can actually search for a quick graphic organizer, or maybe I need a rectangular prism because it's going to take me forever to draw one with a marker. I can just upload a quick image and it looks really nice and it's got the right dimensions. Or you know, any kind of pyramid, any kind of shape that you want for math, you know, science images, that kind of thing. So here is a quick little basic image. So if you want to, if you're trying to create a quick little flow chart or a graphic organizer that you want to design that's specialized for your class, you can use any of these tools. And when you do that, you have the you have some color options. So if I draw a circle, I can click up here. Oops, I do have color options. Oh, they're up at the top. I have some border color options and I have some fill color options. So that's nice. And then you have text box, and your text box is going to be resized, the size of your text box, and the size of the font is adjusted by dragging the corner. I can also have some shortcut kind of display types and some color options, and then I can align it. So, and then this is really fun because if you're sort of giving some instructions and you really want to catch the student's eyes, this is a really fun pointer. It just kind of draws the attention with the flash of the motion. So that's the little cursor, laser cursor. And then along the top, you have the back button. So that undo is really handy when students didn't mean to draw something or they weren't quite following. I know that they never do that, but when they not quite following the directions and then you need a do-over, that undo button is really handy. You can zoom in and out. And we'll talk about the set background, but there's some basic backgrounds that you can use, and then you can add your own. If you are presenting for 6 classes and you want to start again with a blank screen, you can always clear your frame, and that's a really one-click quick stop. Let's see, I'm going to move over to this one. I love this little button right here because if you click the down arrow, you get all of the thumbnails, and you can adjust by adding frames inside, and then you can move from frame to frame with the arrows. And then finally, the 3 dots are some additional tools that you can use to rename, download, make a copy, etc. Okay, so that's just your sort of basic anatomy of what Jamboard looks like and how to kind of find things. When in doubt, click around. So if you're new to Jamboard, it's the best way to get to know it is to just explore. All right, so here we go. We're going to dive into a few tips. 10:20. Okay, dive into a few tips and just different ways to use Jamboard. So really basic whiteboard right there, jam.new, and you can go. A quick little check-in, just have students add their thoughts on a sticky note and you're ready to go. But here are just some if you're ready for a next level layer of fun and engaging activities. We're going to share one. Tip 1 is to insert animated GIFs. So back in our jam that we started off with, these are all animated GIFs or GIFs if you prefer. And a lot of times when you have something that you're presenting, it's really nice to just add a visual, add some motion, keep the students engaged. Maybe it's an image or a movement that really connects with the content that you're sharing. So never underestimate the power of a GIF. So this is view only, and you can absolutely make a copy by going to the 3 dots and clicking make a copy for yourself. Okay, so I tweaked the last activity to share the same sort of idea, but if you pop this into a Google Classroom and had the students make a copy for themselves, then the student could do a quick check-in for you as the teacher, and each individual student could have their own little check-in moment. So this is a drag and drop activity. So I can drag how I'm feeling, or which one best describes me. It would not be that one. This is probably me in typical cases. And then add a text box and sort of explain or share additional information. So think about what other ways could this drag, what other content areas or what other activities would this lend itself to engage the students and help them express. So could it be responding to a text or a topic that you're presenting, or gauging how comfortable they are on a math concept, something like that. So could really use this, and then they're able to share and give details as they explain. Okay. And if you have questions, please do pop it in the chat, and our other friends, Leah and Claire and Fern, will be happy to answer, but also they could unmute and pop in and ask it if it's good for everybody, or if I need to demonstrate something. So here is another one. It's kind of like that four corners activity. And here, this slide might be something that you have your entire class join in on. So students can edit on this slide. So then all students could grab a sticky note or grab a text box, add their name or initial, and move it to that quadrant. And then you get one bird's eye view of how your students are doing, or maybe these are animated just with the answer, the solution to a problem in the four corners, and then you can gauge how students are, how they're solving the problem, or what path they took. So I think this would be a great engaging activity, but also sometimes pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? So maybe that really just kind of hits the nail on the head for the students. Okay, so that was the question. How do I insert the animated GIF? We're gonna share that in just a second. Not only that, you can insert your own GIF. So you and or students could. So if you needed like this quick little how to get to this spot, or where something is located, or how to, I'm trying to think of an example, how to open up a document in your Google Drive or something like that, you could create an animated GIF yourself, save it as a GIF, and then you can add it in your image. So this one is movable, but you can also add it as a background. All right, so how do I create an how do I insert an animated GIF? Let me just select, and then I'm gonna delete. Okay, so it requires, or a quick way is to use an extension called Jiffy, G-I-P-H-Y. And in the presentation on the next slide, the link is right there, the Jiffy Chrome extension. If you add it, then I'll show you how easy it is. So maybe this is a rock. So I'm just going to search, and I like this one. I'm just going to drag it and drop it right there. And ta-da, that's how easy it is. So you can search any sort of image you want, and then you can pop it in, you can resize it, you can move it, and be able to enhance your slide in this way. So Jiffy.com, there's other different extensions if you want to explore more. If you already have an extension that you like to use, you can do that. Alternatively, you can also save it as a GIF, GIF, and then upload it into your Jam. And that's what I did with the with this. So I just came in here and I had a GIF that I had saved. So I'm going to upload and browse and find the GIF that I had. And I had it down here and then upload it. So I'm going to select, I probably have it here. I probably saved it. Okay, so, and then open, and then it'll pop it in there. Okay, so that's how this got uploaded. All right. So if you want to create a GIF yourself, so this is the one that I created in Screencastify. And Screencastify, WeVideo, Loom, any of those screencasting tools has a download as GIF option. And then you save it. Be sure to remember where you saved it, because sometimes I'm spending time looking in my folder. Where did I save it? And then upload it into Google Jamboard. All right. So that could be a student responding. It could be a teacher adding a GIF to direct students to the right place. All right. Has anybody done that already? Let's pop in the chat and just check. Is that a new information, or has someone already had an example that they used GIFs for it in their Jamboard? New. Yay. Oh, yay. All right. So that could be something that you can use in your classroom. Engage students, but also help focus the learning and provide additional visuals. Tip 2 is, tip 2 is screencast with Jamboard. So screencasting helps to explain your thinking. And we kind of touched on that. That was a good segue from tip 1. And my example, I'm going to move right here to the next one. So an example might be this little food web. And so you have the food web background, and then you have some images that you want the students to drag to create a food web. And so the student might just click on Screencastify or open up WeVideo, start taping, and then they're able to talk and explain the reason. So fungus is a decomposer. I'm going to put it down here. It grows near the grasses, and then the the birds eat the fungus, and then so you're moving, and the students are explaining their reasoning, right, of why they chose whatever it was and dragged it over to the diagram. And so in that way, you're going to be able to have the students demonstrate understanding. It could be a formative assessment to see how well they understand decomposers and producers and consumers. Can be really telling. Plus, kids love to hear themselves. So having them screencast that, it's a great way. And then they would pop that link into Google Classroom, and there you have a short video and great evidence of learning. So being able to screencast with Jamboard is a really fun and different way to utilize Jamboard as a vehicle to demonstrate learning and show what they know. So again, Screencastify, WeVideo, Loom. If you don't know already, WeVideo is a premium license that our district has. And so you have all the bells and whistles. But if you just need just a quick, one click or 2-click thing, you can use Screencastify or Loom. WeVideo, by the way, also has an extension, so it can be just as easy to use as Screencastify. So I'm just going to click, I have the extension, and it's just that easy. Click and record. All right. Do you have any questions on that so far? Okay, we'll move on. So tip 3 is creating invisible sections in Google Jamboard. So this is kind of a new and different idea. It might take a hot minute at the beginning, but I think it's really a fun and different way for students to interact and have that learning experience. All right. Before I go over here, was the screencasting, has anybody done the screencasting with Jamboard? Kind of app smashed that idea? No, that's new. Okay. Well, good. At least one new thing that you can take home. Oh, and I love Stephanie's not yet. Okay, so creating invisible sections. So I'm going to show you an example. This is a pot of gold example. And it's just going to take a second to upload. Okay, so, you know, I just very quickly, I'm just going to draw. So very quickly kind of put together something. I'm sure you guys are way more creative than I am, but let's say this is a activity where the students are going to, in class, you would draw names or you would draw a word and they'd have to, in, you know, 10 seconds or less, explain what that word means or connect it to their topic that you're learning or tell similarities and differences, compare. Whatever it is, the students can draw a card out. So, and if they get the, I don't know, the lucky charm, then they get 10 bonus points. But I can pull out a sticky note that I've preloaded inside my hidden area. And then the students have to tell me, is that a consumer, a producer, or a decomposer? And what would it, you know, how does it fit in the food web? Something like that. Hawk, go. What is it? Is it a consumer, producer, or decomposer? So that kind of adds that element of suspense for the students and that chance, that idea of chance. And you can see that the other examples that I've seen online have been like more of a draw a name out of a hat or a term out of the hat. But, you know, you could do anything. And the way that you would create this is to come over here to the pen.
Oh, sorry.
And then use like a marker. I think it's a pen tool, but I think I used the marker tool. And you would upload or insert an image. And like this cauldron was black. So I'm just coloring on top of the black right there. And this might work even better on a tablet, but with the cursor, you're going to just kind of shade in the entire area. So if you look, let me see if I can pull, if I pull the cauldron, you see how I colored in that whole area. And so what's amazing about this is that the words, the letters are, and the pen marks are always on top. So the layers, you can move images behind it, another image or in front of another image. And I'll show you how to do that. So see how Hawk is behind this image? I can click on the 3 dots and bring it to the front, and then it's in front of the image. But a pen mark is always going to be on top. So I can color or shade in the figure, and then it hides all of my sticky notes and my images, and then I can pull it out for the students. So that idea, think of, if you're thinking about what kinds of ways, like what activities might this help deepen that learning or help engage the students. I could see a lot of different, you know, letters and sounds, numbers, terms, square roots. So think about different ideas to make content appear. And so using that pen to hide with sticky notes, you can also think about, and you don't have to stick with black, so you can think about using whiteout to white out some parts of your Jamboard, and then use the eraser to sort of reveal those items. So I'm going to click on this example. And this is a scratch and guess game. And so I'm going to go ahead. This is my original. So if I want to make a copy, I'm going to click the 3 dots and click make a copy. And I want to do that because if I've done all the work of shading in that area, I don't want my original to be touched because that takes a little bit of time to do that. But once you have that template, it's really easy to use it in different ways. So here's the scratch and guess, and I'm guessing, so I have clues, and the students would use the eraser to sort of erase the pen mark and reveal the clue. So the first clue is a synonym for my word is bravery. Let's see if I want another clue. Or if I want this one down here, I'm gonna say my word has 2 syllables. So if you can guess the word, you can pop it in the chat. And then this word makes me feel strong. What could that word be? So the students are just kind of going through. When I hear this word, I think of Rosa Parks. Okay, this is the one I think. Do we have a guess yet? My word rhymes with orphanage. And so the students can kind of put in their guess right here, and maybe they can search for picture image right here about what they think bravery looks like. So all of these tools are available for teachers, but how great is that to empower students to use those tools to really show what they know and give them voice and choice. Okay, so anybody use the scratch off or the hidden area idea before in Jamboard? Is this new?
I see a lot of no, but they liked it.
Words all together as well. Okay, so yes, so we're going to talk about the background in just a minute. Oh, yay, Jessica. All right, so 2 different ways, but maybe that sparked an idea for you to use that idea of the invisible section in even a different way. And if your ideas are swirling in your mind, we'd love for you to, we're going to give you time to kind of experiment and then share out maybe your idea. That we would love that. Okay, so tip 4 is designing a background. So if you looked at what we had shared, this scratch off activities, there's a part that is not movable, okay? And so, well, this whole slide is not movable, but this entire background was created in a Google slide and then saved as a PNG or a JPEG and then uploaded it as a background. So then that part the students can't move around. So a lot of times, you know, students will accidentally, they're trying to click and drag and then the whole slide is cattywampus or whatever. So you can use the background feature to set that background. And I'm going to show you an example. So here's a background that I added. It's not movable. And then this activity, I would ask the students to place a sticky note as a check-in. How are you feeling? Little in the swamp. Okay, so maybe that's how they're feeling. And then they can place it. Where are they? Tell me, where are you on a roller coaster, right? And then they can kind of describe how they're feeling along this. But I don't want the roller coaster to move. But I do have parts that are being moved. Just like this example, the background or the template part is not movable, but all of these pieces are. So you want to consider, what parts do I want to move and what parts do I want to have like locked into the background. And so the way I did this is to come over here to the set background, and I can click here on add image. And I have all of the wonderful options right here. So if I took a picture of my classroom and I uploaded it here, I could have the students like label where different pieces are. Or if I'm doing a safety, you know, at the beginning of the year, maybe they have to add their name to whatever. Or maybe it's a seating chart and you want them to put their name where they want to sit. I can add images from my Google Drive. So any of my images are here shared with me, pardon all my folders. But if this is the image, for example, I can set frame as background right here. And so let's just try it. There it is. And so I can, you know, introduce the Google assignments and navigate here as I'm talking. If I want to, I can do an image search. So maybe I want to have an already completed food web. And here I can just upload it, set it as the background, and then maybe I need the students to add text to give me information about whether or not these are what part they play in the food chain and, you know, how it contributes. So that's how you can set it as a background images. I can also use my camera, take a quick picture, selfie, portrait of a scientist, portrait of a whatever, and have them label. I can also have, if I have a URL image, or upload from my H drive or from my device. I can upload an image right from my device. And I think that's how I had the roller coaster SEL. That's how I uploaded it as the background. So that easy. Alternatively, if I have a slide that I want as the background, so you can get really creative in Google Slides and create that scratch off template, or you know, a habitats and structures and functions little form that you want them to kind of fill out or complete. You can do that in Google Slides, and then you would just save it. So let me see if I can find a quick Google slide. I'm just going to drag my example here. So if I want, let's say I want, oh, I need this guy to be on my Google slide. So I'm going to save file. Where did I put it? Here, let me go back here to, okay. I can format the slide. I can save as a PNG or a JPEG. So I'm gonna save as where did I save it? File. Download. There it is. And then when I download, I'm going to select either JPEG or PNG. Okay, so again, that's here in the file, download, and I want to save as either a PNG or a JPEG. And then it will give me this, and then I'm going to look up here to make sure, okay, it's in my downloads folder, so now I know where it is. And then I'm going to go back to my Jam and set my background and upload. And it was in my Jamboard, in my downloads folder. And there's my background. So students can, if this is a reading passage, then students can use the highlighter, the markers to annotate on it, add text notes, even add an image to kind of, you know, augment the text, or however they want to do that. And then all of this is not movable. Okay. Questions on that? Is that something you've done before? Adding slides, slide deck, or uploading images into your Jam? Dimension. Okay, so if I am in my Jam, in my, sorry, Google slide, when I go to slide properties, I think that's, is that Edit Master? I've only done it on a new slide, so I think it's page setup. Here we go. I'm going to change this to pixels, and I want it to be this pixels that I shared here, 1920 by 1080. So I'm not going to change it because it's going to change my whole slide presentation, y'all. So I would type in, what did I say? 1080 and
1080 by
1080 here and 1920 or something like that.
1080.
And then click apply. So that's how we change the slide. So that would make it exactly the same size as my board. But you can tell that this is pretty close. So if I miss that step, it's not gonna break your jam. Okay. It's not gonna disrupt your jam. You'll still be able to jam. Okay. So the important piece is the PNG or the JPEG. And then the other idea is that you can also upload a GIF as the background. So that's kind of fun. If I wanted to set my background and I had a GIF that I uploaded, then I could use that as my background as well. Click it, and then instead of it being instead of it being a movable GIF, it could actually be the background and it'll still animate. So three ideas there. Okay. And so one thing to consider, what things do you want to keep locked and what things do you want to keep loose so students can manipulate them? Thanks Claire for putting all those little cool tips in there. Okay, so backgrounds, that can be really helpful if you want to, if you have a ready-made item that you want to slide into Jamboard, then that it's a great way to create on different sources, app smash it, bring it into Jam, and then use all the great tools that Jamboard offers. So our last tip is taking advantage of the app version. So if you're not familiar, at the beginning of the session, I talked about a web version and an app version. So if you're on a desktop, a Chromebook, a laptop, those are going to use the web version. If you're on an iOS or Android device, you can add the app version of Jamboard, and it has a couple of features that are just kind of make it easy to use and facilitates that learning. So it enhances the learning experience. And that's a really great advantage if you can, so many campuses have iPads, but if you work on an Android tablet or on your Android phone or your iOS phone, it also has the app capabilities. But one thing that is available only on the app is the idea that you can insert or upload files, not just images, but files from your Google Drive. So that makes it really handy. If you happen to have an iPad that you're using, you can grab it and then upload files, and it'll show up in real time for your students on that Jamboard. And then students can interact with that content. They can annotate on it. They can draw around it, whatever they need to do. And you as the teacher can walk through the process on that. And what's really nice is, so when we were talking about the Google slide, you have to save that slide as a PNG or JPEG and then upload it into your Jam to set it as an image or a background. This bypasses it, so you could just pull it right into your Jamboard. And the other benefit is when we were doing the coloring in of the cauldron and and like pulling the scratching, I almost said scratch and sniff, can't sniff, scratch the scratch off. That's really handy to use on a tablet. You can do that pretty quickly and get a little more precise than my mouse and my hand on the mouse. So that touch screen feature makes it really helpful. If you're on a Chromebook, I think you can just flip it over and it acts like a tablet. So some of those things make it easier to interact with Jamboard and to manipulate the touch screen features. So that is our last tip. Has anyone used an app with Jamboard and noticed that you can upload in Google Drive? Anybody has done that before? That's really handy because so many of your documents are right in Google Drive, and sometimes just on the fly you want to shoot that in there. So if you have an iPad handy or a device handy, you can do that very quickly. All right, so we're gonna take a breath. There's 5 really big tools or ideas. Just thinking, I feel like we have ideas swirling as we're talking through those 5 tools. What kinds of purpose and strategies do you think Jamboard could accomplish with your students? So I kind of threw out a bunch of ideas just on the fly, but what other things could Jamboard accomplish? And just take a minute, and maybe if you're thinking, or if you thought of something while we were going through the 5 tips, we would love for you to share, because sharing is caring, and would love to know what kinds of things you were thinking about. Oh, I could use this in my classroom in this way. Advanced Google Slides lesson. You can make just a very basic, and the other thing is, and we're going to share some resources, is there's so much already out there that, you know, sometimes it's ooh, let me grab that and put it into my Jamboard, you know, to be able, and rather than creating from ground zero. So what kinds of things could it be? An exit ticket to gauge what they know. Oh, SEL's check-in, yes, for sure. What else could we use some of the features in Jamboard? Show understanding of a concept, absolutely. Ooh, PE workouts, that's awesome, Jessica. I love that. All of those movement and motion, you know, that's one of the things that really kind of catches and engages students. As you're already like marinating over some of the ideas, oh, an end of year project. That is brilliant, Michael. Math problems together. Hold that thought, because I have a bonus tip for us at the end. Humor goes such a long way. And, you know, thinking about all the tools that you have available in Jamboard, being able to upload images and add text, you can use it as a creation tool. So think about like maybe a 1-pager or a PSA, or, you know, something you might use something else for, but is less conducive to that collaboration and feedback piece. Jamboard can fit a lot of different molds. So quick check. Oh, review for quizzes, classroom routines. Absolutely. Your morning routine. So I'm going to click through. Okay. So we're going to let you go in just a minute. Oh, I'm doing pretty good on time, Clara. I'm so excited. Okay. So Jamboard Resources. This is sort of my reference guide also. So I picked out the top 5 tips that I thought were really kind of different and out of the box for us to kind of focus on today. But I want to share all the resources so that you have time to kind of go in and dive deep. And so many of these resources are simply click the 3 dots, make a copy, and it'll be right there in your drive, ready for you to adjust, you know, tweak, delete, parts however you need to make it personalized for your classroom. So I modeled, so truth be told, I modeled this session after the Stitch That textbook site, the 5 Google Jamboard features, tweaked it a little bit, but Matt Miller is a great person to follow if you are on Twitter, or if he has a blog and a website. So that's great. There's several Ditch That textbook resources here. He has a little page on how to make the animated GIFs. So if you didn't catch that the first time I shared it, and this one slide succinct little summary wasn't enough, this is a great site to kind of get a step-by-step. Alice Keeler, another great person to follow, has a mystery spot. She developed the little pull the rabbit out of the hat activity. Jake Miller has a little GIF on how to add backgrounds in Google Slides. So I would love for you to have a chance to come through and visit these Jamboard templates, ideas. There's a Wakelet full of different topics and content areas and grade levels that you can peruse at your convenience. Mrs. Park, she's the one that has the scratch off activity, and she has a lot more right there, and they're all free for you to make a copy. And We Are Teachers some more. They're just little curated sites. This is a great one on SEL activities. So if that was something that kind of piqued your interest, please take a look at this Tech Notes blog. And then Jamboard, like all Google tools, has a support page. You could go there for some added information. And then I just wanted to kind of highlight this as well. This is our hotspot. So I'm going to go to our hotspot. And we have a page on Jamboard. And we'll probably add more to it, but whiteboards, Jamboard is a whiteboard, but it is so much more. So if you're a beginner, here's how you get started, some features. There's videos that Fern made that are so great, really easy to follow. So you can watch them again and again if there are parts that we missed or I didn't hit on or whatever, or that you have questions about. So Hotspot, that is your go-to place for everything Plano ISD and Techie, Ed Techie. So would love for you to visit that as well. What we're going to do is give you about 15 minutes to create, use one of the tips, create something that you think you'll be able to use this fall. Look through those resources. Maybe you're curating and gathering. Maybe you have your own Wakelet that you're pulling in ideas. Make a copy of some different Jam examples. Make a copy of the Jamboard examples that I've shared that are linked in this presentation. And so we want to give you 15 minutes of dedicated time, because just being able to play in it is where the ideas are going to spark and questions are going to come up. So, and we're going to all four be right here. So feel free to, pop questions in the chat, or if you need to unmute, if you think it's a great question for everyone, we can do that. But I'm going to start the clock. And so for 15 minutes, you're going to get a chance to just go for it and do all things Jamboarding. And then we'll come back. Ready, set, go. Okay. Let's all come back together and see if, oh yay, people are turning on their video cams. Thank you. Hopefully you had a chance to kind of just dive in and maybe explore a couple of resources, or maybe practice creating a template or uploading images or GIFs. Let me know if there's any questions that came up while you were exploring. Put those in the chat. And what I'd love to do is just kind of do a little debrief, and would love for you to share either a resource you really liked, something that you created. I created a check-in with not a roller coaster, but I don't know, road map, or I uploaded a map of the world for the students to, share where they're from. An activity that you either thought of, created, started on, found that you copied. Would love everyone to give one idea of something that you looked at during our 15 minutes together. So let's go ahead and put that in the chat, and we'll look and see, because your idea might be something that would spark another person's creativity and idea. What did you work on? Science pretest. Oh, nice. Sort activity for bones. Ooh, I love that.
Cool.
What else? Want everybody to have a chance to share one thing. Oh, background slides. Yeah, it can be a little bit of a rabbit hole going through all those. I know it was for me, because I was up till 2 looking at more things. I was like, oh, maybe I could. No, I just have to stop myself. Esther Park, nice. Oh, what beach do you like? A welcome page, lovely. That's awesome. I keep those coming, because I feel like that's going to help all of us think of more ideas, or maybe grab that and go, oh, maybe I could do that too. Okay, so I wanted to share just some random tips, and maybe you looked ahead and got a preview, but if you were creating on your Jamboard, there's a nice little quick tip, is that you can Control D, and that will just duplicate whatever you were working on. So if you had a circle that was just the right size, and you didn't want to try to create the same size circle, then you can just Control D, and it will just copy it as many times as you like. So that's a really helpful shortcut to kind of improve your productivity. Version history, there's a great idea of being able to look at your version history and start with a new one. So one of the tips that was shared is to come down here and look at your version history, and maybe come back to the very first. Maybe I don't want all of these, or I'm going to show how to Control D to all 6 of my classes. I want maybe the version that has the initial, oh, where did I go? Okay, has the initial, whatever that guy was. Is this the one?
Oh, you need to share your screen.
Oh, thank
I
you.
stole it from you, and then
Sorry, I'll share my screen.
Sorry.
Okay, so if this is the screen that I want before anybody puts their number in or whatever, I can go to the 3 dots and name this version, and I'm going to name it template, or I can name it original, or I can name it, 616 or whatever I want to name it. And then when I want to go back, I can click on this version and make a copy of it. And it removes everything that I've done before. So this is really helpful when you started with a blank slate and you were working with students and you got to a point where you caught up with all your other classes and then you want to start at that point for all of your other sessions. You can name that, or you can name your original and not have to always have 2 copies. So if you're working through something, naming the original as the original or draft or template or however you want to name it, then you can always go back to that part and make a copy of it or restore that version. Okay, so that's just a little quick tip option that might help with, having 20 copies of the same activity rather than having all of those copies and not knowing which one was the original. You could just name the first version of that activity and then always go back to it. All right, so sharing settings, make sure that you can have those set, but you can also, if I'm working on this activity, I might set my sharing setting to anyone can view, okay? And I'm going to talk about this activity, and then I want everyone to post a Post-it note on this activity. Then I would come down here, I would come down here and set my share settings now to edit. And now I'm ready for everyone to put in their 2 cents worth, literally. And so, great, now we're done. I don't want any more input. Thanks a lot. I'm going to come back here and change it again to view only. And that can help with, pacing and allowing your students access, but maybe not while you're instructing that first part. So share settings, those are really important. Stay organized. So if you are creating, what's handy is if you are going into your Google folder and maybe this is your robotics class, you can click new and find that Jamboard and open a new Jamboard right inside this folder, and that's where it will live. So that can kind of save you a step and help keep you organized rather than having all your Jamboards sort of loose all over the place. You can put it right inside the folder for that class or for that group. And then you can also save your frame as needed. So this is a really good example of Johnny's work today. I'm going to save this activity. Okay. Oops, sorry. I'm going to go back. So I'm going to, I want to snip a picture of this. So I'm going to save this frame because this was his work as an image, pop it in his folder. Maybe that's an evidence of learning, or if I needed it for RTI, or if I wanted to share it with parents, I can save that frame as an image. So that can be helpful. Then you're not having to save everybody's or all 10 of those frames. And then the last one is, oh, I love this so much. So someone had mentioned in the chat how they were going to use it to demonstrate math. And if you are teaching, higher math, some of those math symbols can be really tricky. In this little website, this is linked to Eric Kurtz's blog about using Equatio with your Jamboard. And it'll give you some nice little examples, but it's a great, great tool. Let's see if I can jump to it's a great, great tool to be, sorry, that's probably here. Let me go to the other one. Okay, so if I wanted to use my Equatio extension, I can not Wakelet, Equatio, thank you. it will pop up these equation options down here where I can really get really specific on the different types of equation. So if I needed a quadratic equation for x squared, let me do this. Let me write it. 4. Last time I was not great at my writing, but if I needed 4x, 4 plus, let's try 4x again. 4x, please. Yes. And squared up here at the top. There. It's going to give me that. I can just literally copy and paste it right here into my document. Did it come up?
I think it's grab a text box.
Oh, thank you. And there it is. So really great way to use insert items into your Jam if you need to get really specific on math equations. So if we have any math nerds out there, hopefully that kind of jazzed you up. So gosh, my little trigger is really sensitive. Okay, so those are just some random, bonus tips to help you out. If you have any questions, or if you created a jam that you're really excited about, we would love to see it. We would love for you to share that with us. You can reach out to us at any time. And this is our contact information. Please follow us on Twitter. If there are any Jamboard updates or any Google tool updates or anything that we use as a district, we're going to tweet it out. That's the first place we're going to, that it's going to show up. It'll also show up on our hotspot. So please check there, make it a bookmark. It should be added to your web desk. So if you don't, you can absolutely add that hotspot tile. There it is. And you can also, I forgot to show this at the beginning, but you can also have a Jamboard tile here in your web desk, and it'll just pop it open for you if you're a big web desk user. And that can be your one-stop hub. All right, and a couple minutes. So if you have any questions, I'm gonna linger. We're gonna linger here for a couple more minutes, but we really, really appreciate you taking this time and hope that this training you felt was valuable to your teaching craft, and you're able to take some ideas and some activities with you as you start the new year and maybe help work on it this summer. So thank you so much.